Welcome to the show, kids.
Hey, kids.
Not again.
Fancy seeing you here at the new temporary, maybe permanent studio we have. You come at a momentous time. We are in the presence of this amalgamation known as Medusa's Hairdresser. Would you all like to introduce yourselves and what you do for the band?
I'm Zach. I play guitar.
I'm Nicole. I play bass, do body piercings, and crawl on skin.
I'm Raven. I'm the vocalist.
I'm America's sweetheart, Jules, and I play drums and cover things in blood.
Nice. And Future Deadly Horror is out now. As soon as you're done watching this, Alice, you should go stream that immediately. So let's talk about that. New album's out. You
Yes.
guys, you were saying that you recorded it like 3 days, within a 3-day period?
Basically.
Not
yeah.
consistently.
Consecutively.
Yes.
3 days total.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. We started recording in August, and then constantly we're just finding different days to redo stuff, overdub, and then we finished in late September, and then it was done like late October, a little before Halloween, I think.
Yeah, like a couple days before.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then we just pushed the release date back.
Nice. How many albums does that make this?
This is our second full length.
Cool. Right on. And what was the first one called again?
Doomsday Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And that's also streaming everywhere. Cool. Very cool. What are like some big influences growing up?
As a band or
I guess more specifically, like what did your parents listen to, or like what was in your household growing up?
Well, my favorite band when I was like about 3 years old was Evanescence. It was like all I would listen to. My parents played a lot of Nirvana, Panic at the Disco because it was like just coming out. My Chemical Romance when it was like just coming out. Then a lot of like 70s and 80s stuff. But then also when we were in the car, we didn't have a CD player because somebody stole it and left a Hershey's chocolate bar there, which we did not get back from the police. They took it as evidence and never gave it back.
Whoa.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
At least then it would have been a fair trade.
Yeah, exactly. And my little
It's my
like
Hershey
7-year-old
bar.
kid head, and like I totally would have thought that was fair, but no CDs. We lived in rural Pennsylvania, super rural, like Amish Pennsylvania. So there were 2 radio stations, country and top 40. So it was usually, if we were at home, I was listening to my parents' stuff, pop punk, 90s grunge. If it was in the car, it was top 40s, which was still some Evanescence at the time.
Yeah.
I guess for me it was my dad grew up during the British invasion, and he was always playing like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Animals, and Bob Dylan especially was a big influence on him the most, and I heard that a lot growing up. And then I just consistently heard that. My mom was kind of more of like Joni Mitchell, and she kind of heard like more stuff from the 80s, so she knew things like Duran Duran. She knew who Morrissey was. She knew about all these different things, and knew Bowie as well. And that was kind of like my first musical Superman, I guess, was Bowie. And I just heard all these different things from the 60s, 70s, 80s. And I also heard like the pop stuff that my older sister was listening to at the time. So that was kind of like where it was a very musical household, I guess I can say the least.
Did your dad play any instruments?
Yes, guitar, banjo, mandolin, piano, bass, sang.
Things with strings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And also played percussive like brushes and stuff like that. You know.
Very cool. What about you, Zach?
I grew up. I grew up in Kansas, and we listened to a bunch of like early 2000s like Christian station stuff. So it was during like when like DC Talk was still a thing ish. Like Toby Mac had just started out doing his thing, so I listened to that, like K-Love and Christian this, that, and the other, and other than that, it was like Beatles and top 40 shit. I remember my first introduction to anything in terms of like hard music was like Enter Sandman, which we got on iTunes because it was free and my dad happened to find it. Yeah. Like this is like way back in the day when you could like burn things onto iTunes and it actually be there.
Yeah.
Which I did, which I used to like all of our CDs doing that.
I remember those days.
Oh yeah, good shit.
Music was free.
Yeah. And then like Skillet, Red, 1,000 Foot Crutch, and then like right as when I started to in my what's it called junior high years, I would listen to like The Killers. My buddy Noah actually introduced me to the Black Parade. He was like, yo, so I know you're into like harder shit, but I feel like it like this is like right up your alley, and like he played it for me, and I didn't really appreciate it until like I was already in high school, and then I went back to that. I was like, damn, this is actually fucking good.
Yeah, they really did have like even without nostalgia, I feel like I almost said Good Charlotte. My Chemical Romance had at least two good, really, really good records.
Oh, fuck yeah.
All of them.
So all of
Yeah.
them are great.
Yeah.
Raven?
Well, I know that when I was, like, I was born in Virginia, and when I was a baby, my parents would play things like Rob Zombie and Kitty and Horn and stuff like that in the car, and that's what I would fall asleep to.
Nice.
Because if it was anything else, I wouldn't fall asleep to it. And then, they would also play stuff like maybe the Smashing Pumpkins and stuff like that. Anything on the Hard Rock playlist, like Hard Rock Cafe
Yeah.
playlist.
The hard rock playlist. Yeah.
Hard Rock
Yeah.
playlist. But then when I got to middle school, I heard about emo, and so I looked up emo on Spotify and found playlists and just listened to that.
Nice.
And then later on, I was introduced to heavier things and started listening to like black metal, and then denounced all of the emo stuff I was listening to. But obviously, I later came back to it and started to appreciate everything I listened to.
What are y'all listening to right now?
Genuinely, I listen almost exclusively to My Chemical Romance, my friend's band, and our band. I listen to our music. I'm not even kidding.
Nice.
But mostly My Chemical Romance. I wake up in the morning and I put on Bullets. I drive to school. That's it.
Hell yeah. I listen to Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. That's like specifically
Yeah.
that one.
Mm-hmm.
That one's like on my pretty often. What about you guys?
Kind of a whole bunch of shit. I've started. Like right when I joined the band, I was like I was really really fucking into like Gorgoroth and Bathory and all that, and then lately I've just been listening to a bunch of like Maria Takeuchi, which is like a Japanese city pop singer. And then like a bunch of like psychedelic jazz and shit like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jazz.
Nicole?
I guess I'm always listening. My friend does drum and bass like live streams on Twitch, and he is always like doing that, so I'm always listening to like him DJ and stuff like that, and that's been something I've been really into recently. I love Kiss. I hate to say it, but I love Kiss up to like the New York Dolls, My Chemical Romance as well.
That was rude laughter off camera when Kiss was mentioned.
I don't care. Kiss is easily. They're all chuds except for Peter Criss.
Yeah, there's a lot of chudding going around.
Yeah, no. But essentially, just like 70s stuff, and whenever my friend is DJing, especially around this time of year, I like to put on like old school death metal records, and then just like. I love classical. That's like my main thing. I love big symphonies, and that's something you wouldn't really expect. But that's like where my ear for melodies has always come from.
Okay.
It's just like Chopin and Bach and Tartini. Just like that's kind of where a lot of these extra melodies and harmonies kind of came into my mind, and where you can create a symphony with guitars. You can create a symphony with all these things because.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that coming through. That's cool.
That's kind of like the big influence of mine, I guess, or what I've been listening to.
I've been listening to a lot of classical music and also a lot of like 30s and 40s jazz, I think is what you could call it. But also something I might be a little embarrassed to admit is a lot of songs from My Little Pony.
That's so real, though.
But there's a lot of like good harmonies in those songs, and those actually inspire me.
It's a show tune. That's basically what any song done like that. It doesn't necessarily. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, like I've realized that that's kind of what's inspired me to add harmonies to different things.
We got a wide variety of musical inspirations here. That's awesome.
Yeah,
we got
actually,
Kiss and My Little Pony and orchestra, like a Chopin.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a breath of fresh air to hear, I say younger from my age, younger musicians coming up doing things, actually talking about more of a broad variety and being that wide open about, influences.
So what's the hardest part? I guess what's the best part about dressing Medusa's hair, and what's the hardest part?
Definitely the clippings. Definitely the clippings is always the hardest part. Just,
Like
it
the
gets-
active clipping?
It gets everywhere.
Oh,
Everywhere.
For me, averting eye contact is the easiest part.
Okay.
Hardest part, though.
Those the snakes really like to bite sometimes. They
Yeah, probably like maneuvering the scissors with like those really heavy gloves on. Makes it hard to.
Like blacksmith's gloves, just like cast iron.
Exactly. Like falconry gloves.
For me, it's doing it without a mirror. I make sure to remove all the mirrors in the hair salon so that I can't see her. I actually keep a bandana and a bunch of goggles over my eyes so I cannot see her. So I'm essentially just
Doing it blind.
yeah,
Nice.
Trying to only cut the snakes.
yeah.
What's do any of you have ghost stories?
Oh!
Yes.
Yeah.
Jilzy.
Well, so one time I accidentally haunted my house when I was 15, and it's my bad. It is my fault. It was on me for trying to do a seance.
Wow.
That is fully on me, though. I take full responsibility. It sucked. Yeah, but I was trying to do a seance, like, for Samhain. I was 15 again. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. So I, like, lit all these candles, and I was like, spirits are welcome, and yada, yada, yada. The whole shebang. Look, again, like I said, I was fucking so stupid, and I did not care what happened to me. No, I know. Trust me, I know. Trust me.
I don't mean to interrupt, but were you a believer at that point, or was it just kind of like a shits and giggles thing when you tried it?
No, I was a believer.
Okay.
I was a believer, yeah.
So you kind of understood the consequence of what you were doing, you just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
look, I was also trying a lot of other really bad things at that time.
I didn't mean to...
This was kind
go
of...
ahead.
Huh?
I didn't mean to derail your story. I was just...
Oh,
go
no,
ahead.
no worries. Yeah, no, I fully believed everything. I knew that if I do this poorly, if I do something wrong, it's gonna be a shitstorm. And I understood that I was not experienced in this at all. It was my first seance, my last seance. But yeah, I opened it up. I was like, okay, cool, let's do a tarot card reading. And I pulled the devil, I pulled the tower, I pulled death, I pulled, like, just every single, like, I pulled all of the reverse cards. It was just, oof. All of it was like, I am a thing, and I want you to isolate yourself, and I'm a spy, and all of these terrible things are gonna happen to you. And I was like, cool, I fucked up, time to close this circle. And so this whole week goes by, and it's like, okay, everything's weird, you know, the typical, like, creaking, lights flickering, stuff like that. Yeah, whatever. And then the next week, every single night I go to bed, I wake up from sleep paralysis probably 2 hours in, and I see this, like, just malformed demon gargoyle creature that slowly, every night, gets closer and closer until it's right above my face like this. I was like, I have to do something. I have to do something. And I was like, my brilliant, genius 15-year-old self was like, what if I write my first spell all on my own to banish this thing?
Oh boy.
And I used like a salt circle for banishing, you know, and I pour it in the wrong direction. Oh. So rather than like banishing it from the entire house, I trapped that thing in my fucking room. So this thing that was throughout my entire house is now condensed in this, like, it was about this size. How big would you say this little part is?
Ironically, I work in storage, so I think this is... let me use my expert powers here. I think this is a 10 by 15. Is that right?
Yeah, so...
Hey,
that's impressive.
Can you pull up a picture of sleep paralysis demon? There's like a famous painting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little imp sitting on a chest.
It was massive.
Big?
It was big.
Okay.
I think I know the painting you're thinking of. It was referred to. It was in The Death of the Maiden. I don't remember if it was by Handel or not, but that was kind of like the image used for it. So there's fun fact for it.
So you trapped this thing in your room.
I trapped this thing in my room. And it went from like little things moving to I had this candle sitting on my bedside table, and it was really short. But it fell over on its side and rolled off the table on its own. And I mean, like, by all means, it should not have been able to get on its side. Luckily, it was not lit. I was like, that's weird. I also had a carpeted floor, but the rug was, like, really high up. And so, like, the closet door, you had to, like, pull to open it. And there were times that it would, like, fly open or swing closed. I'm like, I can't do that. I cannot do that. Like, physically pulling on it, I can't do that. My nightmares got worse. I didn't sleep for 5-6 days, something like that. It was awful. Like, so, and then eventually I was like, okay, actually I'm going to get help from a friend of mine who is very experienced in witchcraft. And then we got that thing gone.
Does this friend of yours live here?
Not anymore.
Damn.
No.
Because I need a friend right now to take care of something like that at my house.
Mm.
Currently.
Was it?
Uh-oh.
Yikes.
I have friends. I just got initiated to a circle, so I have friends.
Okay.
When
We need to talk more.
when like the door would slam or the candle would fall over, would it ever happen when you were looking at it, or would it be out of like the corner of your eye or when you weren't looking?
Well, sometimes it'd be while I was looking at it. Sometimes it would be like I'm facing this way and the closet door that I had just opened to like pick out my outfit is now closed and I heard the slam.
Yeah.
With the candle, I remember like I was looking in the area. I was looking at the same table and then it was clunk fall. But a lot of the things happened passively.
But
It was really just like there was stuff happening all the time.
Gotcha. And have you ever had anything happen like that since?
Since then, no, I have not. I am very cautious about that now.
You learned your lesson.
I really did, because like I went into it knowing like I could fuck this up and things could go really bad. And I didn't care, and then it went really bad, and now I really do care, and I don't fuck with that.
Any ghost stories?
Yes, I have quite a few actually, not on par with Jules, but we have a family home in Minneapolis, or not Minneapolis, in Latham, Illinois. It's a farmhouse that's been there for years, quite a few decades, and a bunch of them actually got married in that house. But essentially, it was, you can feel these restless spirits in that house, and they're always there. You know, you sense them, you hear doors, you know, opening and closing. I remember when I was a kid, I was there, and I swear that, like, I heard someone, like, showering, and then I went into the bathroom, and the lights were off, and the shower wasn't on, but I still heard someone showering, and I heard someone talking, I heard people in the other room. I don't know if that was just me as a kid, you know, being delusional as hell, but that's one ghost story I have. There's a ghost at my job that knocks things over, that turns things on and off. Definitely freaks me the fuck out, but especially with like different mannequins and things like that, you know. Definitely gotta get used to that. Wondering if a psalm will calm them down.
Or rile them up.
There you go.
Exactly.
Ghost stories?
Unfortunately, no.
Hey, that's a good answer too.
That's a very good answer.
Yeah.
That's a very,
That's a very
nice
lucky
answer.
answer.
Very good
Yeah.
answer.
yeah.
Well, I have something similar to her story, but it's not exactly, like, I don't remember all of the details. Just I remember I started messing with Satanism, like real Satanism, and I you know, I was in a period of my life where I wanted to paint stuff on my walls. So I started painting stuff on my walls. Well, I decided to paint a giant pentagram right over my bed.
Upside down or right side up?
Upside down.
Oh my god.
So I started having nightmares, and then I went, why am I having nightmares? And then, so I was raised pagan. My stepdad kind of came into the room. He saw the giant pentagram over my bed after I told him I'm having nightmares. He's like, you drew a portal for demons to come into your room, into this house. It's right there. It's over your bed. This is why you're having nightmares. So, he had to close it off with runes and stuff. And then later on, I was trying to repaint. Later on, I tried to repaint my room, but then I ended up I decided to just strip the paint, and I just pulled the entire paint thing off of it, so it's not there anymore. And there's no way that anything could get in there.
Cool.
anytime I'm over there and I'm wearing a certain sigil or something around my neck, you know, I remember she always tells me I have to put it under my shirt or something, because they'll think I'm bringing, you know, things into that house.
When you say pagan, you said he used runes. Is he Norse pagan?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Very
Where-
cool.
Nice.
He's Norse pagan. I've gone down the path of Kemetic pagan.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
I work with Egyptian gods.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Nice.
I've done a little bit of work with Anubis. I didn't know that there was
Yeah.
a word for that like that.
Yeah.
Cool, very cool. So you were raised pagan. Were you guys raised religiously?
Well, my dad was raised Baptist, but he's an atheist. But again, Baptists are really good at instilling guilt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I have a really, so I didn't go to church until I was about 5. And I asked to go because I was watching my dad play the video game Dante's Inferno.
Hell yeah, I love that game.
Well, you know the Ring of Hell where they have unbaptized babies that are zombie babies with scythe hands?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I saw him playing that, and I was like, hey, so what the fuck's up with that? And he's like, that's unbaptized baby. And I was like, hey, so quick question, am I baptized? And he was like, no, you're not baptized. I was like, you need to get me and my little brother baptized immediately.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, okay, fine, if it gets you to go to bed.
That's hilarious.
Great.
So he walks into the church, and he's like, oh no, Baptist guilt. And so we went to church until I was 8 years old, when the church we went to was like, all single mothers are sinners, even if your husband died, or if it's not on purpose, or blah, 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 blah. And we were like,
Damn.
wait a minute, the church is a little bit fucked up.
Hey, wait a second here.
Like, hold on.
You sure this is not a cult?
They all are.
Yeah. So I had to go to a church recently to watch a performance. It wasn't for religious reasons. They're okay with gay people now, apparently.
Baptist? I've heard that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, certain Baptist churches, I guess.
Yeah, I've got like a Baptist friend who's like, I believe that all people are equal because we're all the same when we die. And I'm like,
Hold on a second. You're actually starting to sound like Jesus now.
yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. Isn't this what they wrote in the original
Yeah.
book?
Churches are businesses.
Yeah. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I was also
damn.
homeschooled. So I was everyone I knew was in my church until I was 18 and moved out.
Holy
So
shit.
Wow.
yeah, I knew nothing
Holy
about
shit,
the world.
That's
That's
It was
crazy.
intense.
That's insane.
But Alice has heard enough about that. Were you all raised religiously?
I was raised Christian, non-denominational,
Okay.
but I might as well have been Baptist.
Okay.
I was raised. I had Jewish family, and my mother. I don't think nowadays she would describe herself as a Christian because of what Christianity has become and what it always has been. But she describes herself as spiritual. She describes it as like a Sunday school faith, as how it's a very comforting thing to her. I used to try to have to go to church when I was a child, and my dad told me, like, I would be screaming and crying, and just, like, nothing would make me stop as a kid. So it's, like, it goes to show how my views on religion are now, but I dabbled in different things. Satanism is definitely something I dabbled in for most of my life, from ages, like, 12 to pretty much now, I guess. I still, like, I had the Necronomicon and things like that, and I also tried out the Church of Scientology.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Okay,
We talked about this a little bit before you got here, Alice.
Our high school, before our old high school, there was, like, dead set in the middle of downtown, and we would pass by the Church of Scientology every day. And two of my friends were like, yeah, we tried to get in, and so I decided to buy the book from a bookstore in Nashville called McKay's, and I bought it was like 30 cents, and I bought the book, and I just read it cover to cover, and then I returned it the next day and asked for my money back because I felt like I wasted my goddamn time.
That's great. I want my 30 cents.
That's 30 cents of my life I worked hard for by doing absolutely nothing.
That's great.
I feel like there's another side of my family is very Catholic, and I was kind of raised to not I don't know, the household I grew up in is like everybody is kind of gets to be their own person. Nobody has to, there's no strict rules and everything like that. I was able to embark on anything I wanted. I put like inverted crosses in my room. I would wear a pentagram necklace for quite a while until I gave it to our old guitar player, and he never gave it back to me. But that's kind of
Which one?
Chris.
Oh.
I gave it to him before the Brat show. That we did at
Which show?
the show we did at Dark Matter with Brat. That was our last show with Chris
Oh.
in February.
Oh, yeah.
That was a minute ago, but
Yeah.
that's kind of it for me in terms of religion.
When at this point in your life, what is Satanism to you? What do you think that means?
Satanism to me is empowering yourself. Satanism to me is being your own person. I don't believe Satanism to be a whole, we're going to sacrifice babies and we're going to, because we do that on stage enough. That could be enough as an altar sacrifice. But in all seriousness, Satanism to me is, it's being your own person. It is taking a label and not being like, yeah, this is a label that people are afraid of, but it's not. It's don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, the original rebel.
That is what it is to me. Something I found, especially when I started getting really into recovery and sobriety, is you have to have a higher power, something above yourself. And I can't worship myself. You know, nobody can worship themselves because they're the ones who make the wrong choices. If you find something like that, I mean, some people worship the spirit of George Carlin, you know? If it has to be anything that resonates with you, and if that's what's keeping you mentally sane and safe, that's fine. And Satanism, for me, is empowering yourself, loving yourself, and being something in your mind above man.
You ever look in chaos magic at all?
Yes, quite frequently.
They have a word for what you're talking about, like self-worship.
Yes.
They call it left-hand path.
That's, that is exactly right, and that's...
So you have, like, left-hand path is like I draw power from myself, and then right-hand path is I have a patron of some kind.
For years, you know, I was always stuck on faith, and it's like I always felt like a pressure, but it's just like, why would I be stuck on a faith when I can learn to not be afraid of things, and I can empower myself, and I can learn to love myself. I can learn to be my own deity.
Yeah.
Know?
For me, it kind of all blends together. Like, what's internal is what's external.
Absolutely.
What's in my mind is what exists in the universe, because that's the imagination is a dimension that's there.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
The way that I have come to view it about a couple years ago was that, like, at least me personally, like, I've always kind of, cliche, but I've always been like the one guy that doesn't really fit in or whatever, and like, I'll go play by myself at the soccer field, and like, even when I was a Christian, I felt that way, and so I've kind of come to just, like, I don't exactly worship the devil, because I, like, given horror stories like that, like, I know better than to actually dabble in that shit, because it is real, and it is very dangerous, but, like, I personally, I say I identify myself with the devil, kind of, in a way that, like, and this is a point that a friend of mine from Australia pointed out to me that I hadn't really thought about until then, a few months ago, was that, like, Satan and Jesus are kind of two sides of the same coin, in a way, that, like, Jesus was killed by God to take away the sins of man and to save us or whatever, and then Satan or Lucifer was sent down to hell as punishment for trying to take the place of God, but to act as kind of the overlord of punishment for said sins and stuff. And so
Kind of like the argument for Judas, that it's like someone had to fill that role.
Yeah, they're the ones sent down to deal with everybody's bullshit.
When
So,
yeah, sorry.
So kind of not exactly in that vein, but like they're kind of the outcast of God, and so I kind of view myself in that way. But yeah.
Yeah. When I moved out, like, I had a really strong disdain for organized religion, and I still do. And I was, because of how I was raised, I was like pretty staunchly atheist because I had never experienced anything supernatural. And I was like, I know this is all bullshit. So, like, or at least what I'm being told is bullshit. So, like, I didn't accept that there was any value in that. I say all that, like, I've kind of come full circle where I'm not a Christian, but I see a lot of value in Scripture. Like, the problem I really have with Christianity is a lot of people that call themselves Christian have no idea what the fuck that means. It's like you are misrepresenting an ancient Jewish text that you have no relation to whatsoever. You have no idea. You think it's like, okay, so people have only taken like the Garden of Eden and the Torah literally for like 500 years. It's like a very new thing. It's like for a long, long time, people knew that was fairy tales. And it's like, you actually miss a lot when you take it literally. Like, you completely miss the moral lesson that's trying to get out of it. My point is, like, there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a lot of bad stuff in there, too. But, like, as I'm older, I'm just like, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, fuck Christianity, fuck organized religion. But, like, the text itself, I find a lot of value in. Like, when people talk about, like, pyramids as, like, how did people do that? I kind of look at the Torah that way, where it's like, how did someone do that? Like, that kind of feels alien. That's a whole rabbit hole we could go down. But, man, I feel like I had a point to that. I can't remember. I just kind of went on a rant.
Maybe there was a point to the rant.
Yeah, it probably was. I can't remember now.
No. Rant was the point.
Well, I can't remember what I was going to say, but can I tell you all a quick story real quick? I think you'll appreciate it. I'm going to keep it brief because I think I might have talked about this on the podcast before. But, like, after I moved out, I was like, I want to, like, see what's out there. So it's like, I didn't believe in anything. I was pretty atheist, but I was like, let's fuck around and find out if what is out there. And I got into, it was like pretty like entry level stuff at first, like Crowley, Thelema.
Nice.
And then like then I discovered like Phil Hines and Chaos Magic, and like got deeper into studying that. And I've got a lot of stories also, but I want to tell you guys this one. Me and my friend Philip, he brought some really good acid down from Kentucky. And we had talked that day about specifically reaching out to Lucifer, because I feel that affinity you're talking about as well. For me, it's I kind of, which I don't judge people that don't, but I kind of separate Satan and Lucifer as two different entities in my mind. I say that because of the story I'm about to tell you. But anyway, we were talking about reaching out to him. And so we took this acid and we just started like talking, and like he was asking me really introspective questions about myself, like a therapist. And at a certain point, he was sitting across from me, kind of like catty cornered like that, like kind of where me and Shafi are from each other. And he had his arms like this. And like I've done spirit work with this guy before, like but he I didn't realize we were doing anything at the time. But he started asking me questions about myself, and I don't even remember the conversation very well. But at a certain point, I completely tranced out, and I was in what looked like the inside of a volcano. Like there was molten rock and lava, like, by my feet. It was like a volcano, but there was no ceiling. It was hell. It was a hellscape. And the weird thing is, like, it was layered on top. I had my eyes open. It was layered on top of my reality. So it's like, if the couch is over here, now that couch is just a rock coming out of the ground. And my friend was gone. But, like, at the same angle, but, like, way further distance, was Satan. Tim Curry, legend,
Oh my god.
big horns, red, muscular, 11 feet tall, goat hooves. And he wasn't looking at me. He was looking dead ahead of him. And he, like, as far as I could tell, he was, like, he had, like, color, but, like, he wasn't moving at all. He was like a statue. He wasn't blinking. And he was like, "Why are you here?" And it took me a minute to realize he was talking to me because he wasn't looking at me. And I was like, "I don't know," because I had no idea how I got there or why I was there. And he was like, "What do you want?" And at that point I was like, okay, I could ask for something, but I don't think there's actually anything I want that badly. And so he started getting impatient with me, and we talked for a while, and I don't remember everything we talked about. But at a certain point, again, he asked me, "What do you want?" And he was, like, getting really mad. And I said, "I just want to know if you're proud of me."
Damn.
And as soon as I said that, I felt this rumbling that I interpreted as, like, all of hell laughing at me. It was like, I felt this, like, cruel laughter. And at that point, he did turn and look at me, and he was not laughing. And the way he looked at me physically hurt. Like, it threw me out. I was back on my couch, and I had a splitting headache. And that's my Satan story.
Holy shit.
I have a God story.
Yeah. Oh, Alice, Shafi, and Neef are here
Oh,
as well. I don't think
yeah.
I said that.
Hi guys, you can't see me, but I'm waving at you.
You got a God story, Shafi?
I do.
Let's go.
One time I was having, this is actually, at the current house I live in, there was a couple, one person I think passed away in that house, the other person passed away at the hospital. But I always try to, say thank you to them for keeping the house nice while they lived there, because now I live there. And I'm like, this is a great place. Thank you for letting it be good. Always try to give thanks to the dead, always. The ancestors need it sometimes. But one time I was having trouble sleeping, like, really bad. Like, having trouble sleeping to the point where I would go to sleep and I would see nothing but, like demon faces that, like, are human, but, like, crying blood with giant, like, Cheshire cat, like, teeth, but, like, jagged. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I gotta go to sleep. So I bought holy water and I rubbed it all over my face. I rubbed it all over my arms and my neck and all of that jazz. And I started confessing sins, like, just randomly. Wasn't even trying either. Wasn't, like, actively thinking about it. Wasn't, like, saying, all right, I'm gonna confess my sins to God. I was just like, well, what's troubling me right now? Let me at least think about what's that. I did that all on my own. I don't know what the hell that was about, but ended up going to sleep. And I wake up in this church somewhere in the tropics, and it was like a Catholic church. And the church had, like, a couple candles lit. And I'm walking around, I'm like, hello, is anyone here? Hello? And there were, like, 3 doors that were open, and one of them opens up. And I walk outside to this village. And I think it was either in the tropics, or it was somewhere either in Africa or the Caribbean, because there was a whole bunch of black people around, and I loved it. But I was walking out, and as I walk out, I look over, and I want to be a pilot. So this is something that has to be mentioned. I want to be a pilot. I want to fly airplanes. That's been kind of like my dream since I was 7 years old. It's kind of a curse now because I find trouble trying to get there, but that's besides the point. As I walk out of one of the other doors is are pilots and flight attendants walking out with me, and we're out in the middle of like this like town or whatever, and this little kid walks up to me. It's just kind of like, "Hey, Mister, God wants to know if he," because I was praying. I was like, "God, can you just let me get some rest tonight, please? Like, let me get some rest. I can't sleep. I haven't slept in months." And the kid walked up to me and was like, "God wants to know if he has your permission to give you rest." And I was like, "Excuse me?" Because my brain thinks rest in two different ways. Most people think rest in the normal term. Get some rest, go sleep. But you can also be late to rest. You can also be, I'm a big fan of the idea of words being used as a very particular, like, I was once told something that really jostled my head a little bit. The Egyptians used hieroglyphics because they knew that they could speak things into being.
Fuck.
Yeah.
So, shit.
Yeah. And so...
That's why glyphs, yeah.
And so that's, like, ever since then, I've noticed where I talk to myself constantly. And I mean, like, I was an only child. I have conversations with myself about topics that I feel I can't have in real life. And so sometimes I'll have conversations about things before, and then people will walk with me, like in real life, I'll be out in the world doing shit, and I'll hear people use the exact same sentence in the exact same way, in the exact same cadence. So after a while, I was like, oh shit, you can talk shit into being. Like one time I said something about my job, I was complaining about my job at home as if I was talking to somebody in my house. There was no one there. But I must be going insane, my God. I don't need to be a pilot, leave me alone. But I said something along the lines of taking responsibility for one's actions and doing something of that form. And literally the next day we have a meeting at my job, and the owner of the building is like, he uses the exact same word at the exact same time, and he's addressing something that I actually said out loud at home by myself that was a problem. And so I'm like, oh shit, this clearly is a thing. There's some responsibility that needs to be had here. So I'm always very careful about what words I use and how they use them. So when this little kid in my dream comes up to me and says, God needs your permission to give you rest, I'm like, what kind of rest are we talking about? Because there's many types of rest, my friend, and one of them is permanent, and I don't need that just yet. And I was just like, dude, I just need some sleep, man. I just need some sleep. I wake up the next week and I have no nightmares, no nothing. Of course, then after that, the nightmares come back again. But that's neither here nor there. But that's my God story. And it's always weird because what I find to be very interesting about that was, and I'll get to why this is interesting in a minute, is that the kid said God needed my permission. Where there's an element of asking one for permission is an element of respect in the sense that you have asked someone for permission.
It's good to know God's a gentleman.
Yeah, right. You know, but there's also the element of like, I did, and that's where the part comes in, where it's a lot of times in Christianity, they say that you have to accept Jesus into your life. He's not just going to show up at your door. You know, the idea that you have to accept things. Funny enough, the idea that you have to invite a vampire into your house. Like, you have to invite them in. You can't just, like, there's an idea that you yourself have an essence that's also powerful. And so I guess you could say that's left-hand path in some way, thinking about the self more than everyone else. I don't know if that's the same thing. I don't know.
It's more like your power sources. Basically, chaos magic is faith. You could sum it up as faith itself is power. If you believe in something, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
So you can, at that point, you can go, I get my power from within, or I can get my power. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's coming from somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where when it comes to this kind of stuff, funny enough, recently, you guys are going to get a kick out of this one. Recently, I've been having nightmares again about some stuff. And I told you, Neef, about it before. Don't tell me you were sleeping just now. Oh, okay, cool.
Well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Watching the clock.
I hear that. And by the way, if you need to tell me to shut up, let me know, because I talk too much.
Shut up. Go ahead.
But I recently found this woman on YouTube, because I was having trouble with dreams again and demons and all this jazz, right? And I don't know what it is. Ever since I was a kid, they just show up at my door. I don't mean to say that out loud. Gee, damn it. They don't know. They go somewhere else. They don't mess with me. Cool. say that out loud. But recently I found this woman on YouTube who is a PhD in theological philosophy, and she's a pagan. And she has all of these YouTube videos about paganism and stuff. And I started thinking to myself, paganism seems really interesting. I did miss that pagan thing that happened last year. I wonder. And I kept thinking about it recently. Then I meet you guys, and I'm like, holy shit. All right. Like, Neef wanted me to come out. He was like, yo, dude, you got to come out. Like, come on. And I'm like, I'm tired. I want to go to bed. And he's like, nah, dude, we got pizza. And I'm like, all right, fine, if it's that good.
So,
yeah.
this is something I ask everyone, and I want to preface it by saying that no one knows the answer, but like I think we all have different ideas about it. Do any of you have any inclinations or ideas about what happens after we die?
I'm more inclined to think that nothing happens, but my hope is that what I would prefer is that we get reincarnated and then, like, and this is my inner Avatar fan coming out, but,
Yes. Fucking love that.
yes, but, like, my hope is that, like, I get reincarnated and, like, the souls of people that I know will, like, re-encounter me in the next life or something like that. Or something like that. Because I think it'd be cool to... it'd be cool to be something else after I die, you know, like I'm a musician now. What if I were like a carpenter or say a sailor or something like that, or somebody who or a vampire, you know, just weird shit.
Just come back again.
Yeah.
That's what you hope.
Yeah.
There's depending on who you are, that could be a relief or a blessing, right?
Yeah.
It's like
blessing or curse.
Yeah. Same with like the atheist death, like a real death. Is like that could be a blessing or a curse depending on how you look at it or who you are.
Yeah.
What about y'all?
Personally, I've had experience with stuff like that because, for one, I have animals who have come back to me. Like, so for example, I had a pit bull named Aria, and she was a gray pit bull, and she was like really sweet. She ended up dying very early because she ate something, and she just died. And she didn't come back for a while, but she came back as a dog I have now. His name is Ghost, and like he's white with black spots. And I mean there's another one. She's a cat. Her name is Evie. She was a calico. She died when she died of old age. She also came back black and white.
Nice.
And I'm not sure what the significance of the black and white is, but they keep coming back like that.
Means they're reincarnated, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But not only that, but I do remember, like at first I thought they were just dreams, but they were so specific, and sometimes they were recurring, that I figured out that they may in fact be visions of past lives. Like, I think this one is kind of crazy, and sometimes I still doubt it, but I remember for some reason I had this dream or vision of being in like one of the top floors of the Twin Towers.
Oh shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
Could that have been a past life?
Possibly, and I feel like it was, but sometimes I doubt it because I hear these stories that some people tell of their past lives where they're like, oh, I was in this huge event and I was in this huge event, and some of them are just like, are you sure? You know.
You were born after 9/11? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So that could have been.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm under the. I had like what I've gathered just from being a person, I guess, and like studying what kind of the conclusion I've come to. Also, I had a DMT trip that I could tell you guys later that kind of solidified this for me. But I think we're all the same person. I think literally.
What?
Like the
The
soul
egg?
that drives me is identical to the soul that drives you, and that thing is called God, or whatever you want to call it. So it's
Wow,
like
the-
we're all
yeah.
God made flesh, and what makes us different is like our biology and the experiences we go through. Not only that, but every major religion says that. That's what Jesus was saying when he was talking about being the Son of God. He is God made flesh. And he's not saying, I'm special, I'm the Son of God. He's saying, no, all of you too. Like, wake up and do what I'm doing. And it's like,
Oh.
yeah.
I didn't really think about it.
Have
that
you heard
way.
of the egg? The story of the egg?
I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
With Brian, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That shit is that shit is insane.
That's, what is that? Is that Vedic?
I don't know. I just
That's
saw,
Hindu?
I saw a video of it one time and it made me think. That's all I know.
It's basically the same premise, right? It's
Yeah.
like all come from the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I don't really know what happens after we die, though. I think maybe going back is one of the options, but I think there might be multiple options. I'm sorry. I kind of. Do y'all have any? Did you answer yet?
No, I did not.
And you haven't either, Nicole, right?
No.
Yeah. Either one. Go ahead.
Jules, you
I'm inclined to lean towards reincarnation. Just because of a gut feeling. I also frequently get compared to like it's gonna sound so weird, but my great grandmother. I've been called like her reincarnation. She died 2 months before I was born. I mean, like, day and time.
Damn.
Yeah. And she passed away of Alzheimer's, and all I know is that when she died, she was going like this, and that when I was born, this was, like, the first thing that I did, and I almost died at birth. My dad, who was, like, closest to her, like, all the time is like, that is exactly like you saw, you're just like her. I've had dreams that, like, are, I guess, could be past life dreams, just because, like, they're so I'm so immersed in them, and it's like, this could, like, actually genuinely only be her life, because she was so unique. She was a dancer, a ballet dancer on TV in Germany in the 1940s.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Damn.
Very interesting life.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. She married an American pilot in the war. She was super interesting.
Sounds like it. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
she was adopted. She's not from Germany. Well, she's from Germany, but she's not from Germany. So like all of these experiences in my dreams, like really it could only be her. I mean, like, there's billions of people, and there have been billions of people, but it could only be her.
Especially with the coincidence about like when she died.
Mhm.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, like, numbers are a big thing to me, and I don't know if it's because, like, yeah, numbers have a lot of significance, or if I'm just autistic, but numbers have, like, a lot of significance to me. I think the significance of the day and time, and also I see the numbers 1104 everywhere, and that was, like, her time of death.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like number patterns, like seeing them in succession, like there's a word for that. Synchronicity. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, what the fuck, man? Why is this happening
We're
to
in
me
sync.
again? This is happening to me again. Nothing.
Deja vu.
It's not deja vu. It's synchronicity. That's all it is. Let's just leave it at that. My gosh, I keep dealing with this.
Synchronicity was an album by the Police. Deja Vu was an album by Crosby, Stills, Nash.
Now you're fucking me up.
I just wanted to lay that all to rest there because everybody was getting a little bit, weirded out. It's not that big of a deal. 2 really good albums.
Synchronicity
Sorry,
is a great album.
What happens after we die, Nicole?
I personally don't like the idea of reincarnation, and as much as I've had my own experiences with it, I refuse to believe it exists. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. This is gonna sound really weird, but I couldn't imagine. I pray every single night that I die in my sleep. I don't want to continue on. This is the most. If there is a God, I have a lot of questions. First of all, the first thing I would say is, how fucking dare you? How dare you have the people you supposedly love suffer every single day? 6 million people were killed. You let people starve. You let people die of famine. You let people go through the human condition. People kill themselves. Those are the people who have accepted life as it really is.
Yeah, if there's a man in the clouds, he's a piece of shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want nothing but to just give him the middle finger, because everything I have ever felt in my life is just every insecurity, every single little thing. I feel like I just do not believe that I could go on living. I don't want to continue to live. And in like the lyrics, you can just see this sense of dread, this sense of, kind of more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Morbidity.
Morbidity, yeah.
Macabre.
It's $1 million word. But I just can't imagine continuing that. I'm grateful for the life I have lived. I'm grateful for the things I've experienced. However, it's just, the human mind is a scary place, man. You can't, I think of it, there's a meme of a little kid on a school computer. It's like, I'm sick and tired of this flesh prison.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be
Yeah.
here, I've had brushes with death way too many times, but, in all seriousness, I personally just believe that after we die, there's something so cold and something like, you're like in snow. I'm from the deep north, so you're just blanketed in snow, and your body is dissolving, and that especially just becomes the atmosphere in the air. There's no heaven, there's no nothing. I mean, you're a part of the atmosphere, and in the atmosphere we can live forever, but we don't have a subconscious mind.
So there's none of like the pain or torment with that sounds very nice.
No, exactly. That's the thing. You're
Yeah.
a part of the atmosphere. You get to see it. You either are a part of the sun, you're a part of the universe. You continue to live on as a natural cycle of life. Man took away all of man's natural, or all of the natural parts of life. The natural cycle has just been disrupted by smog, by all these things. I'm going to sound like Captain Planet or something like that.
No, it's fucked up. I think I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
It's okay. No, I like to hear any opinion you have, but I feel like the natural cycle has been disrupted, and we have to go back to our origins of being, just letting a cycle happen, because that's the natural order.
Yeah.
How are we gonna disrupt it? By building things, by industries, and by all that other stuff. Why is all that going to continue?
Yeah, it's done so much so far. Like, how's it continuing to add to the
what's
problem?
affecting the animals is the same thing as what affects us here in the brain. That the desecration and just the decomposing of the mind, just like the decomposing of the body. We are decomposing daily, and it just takes a few, and then we're all gonna decompose. Is what I feel.
I get like I'm better now, but I have been. I don't get depressed at the state of the world. I get really upset, like just angry, like tired.
Absolutely.
And because there's just so much bullshit in the world, and it's kind of like it's overwhelming for me, and I don't think that's probably every human being feels that way. But
that would be every human being that's locked into the information that's outside of their immediate tribal reach.
oh, you're saying like because we're so interconnected, like
If we
there's
all-
definitely an aspect
if
to
we all
that.
lived on a little island, our major world troubles would be the size of that
Where you,
island.
like
Exactly, though.
what's that?
That's true.
Empathy fatigue, where it's like you can only yeah.
No animal is designed to have that much knowledge about other animals. It's not in our
It's
design.
unnatural.
Yeah.
It's completely unnatural.
And it drives me crazy where I'm like, I can't live in the same world where, without getting specific, awful, terrible shit happens. It's like, I'm not cool with that. And it's like, I've had a hard time recently, like, I've been having really radical thoughts about how to change it, because I only see a few ways forward.
Same.
I've been
And
having
none
a
of them
talk,
good.
Yeah, he's
Whipping
been doing a
out
lot
his
of talking me down.
which is weird for me.
Yeah.
I'm usually
But-
the one sharpening it for you.
I'm kind of it's weird because like when I was 18 I was like very much like fuck my parents, fuck the church, Hot Topic. That was me. Hey. Yeah, and I mean it still is, but like I guess the point of me saying that is like instead of taking out the people in charge or like violent solutions, my solution now is like I'm kind of coming to the realization I'm not going to save the world. Nothing I do, it doesn't matter how many of them you knock off, they're just going to replace them, right? So I'll get to the point here in a second.
I actually had something to interject. I heard a quote one time. There was that nothing is going to change the world, and I agree. You know, that's kind of going along with that.
It gets worse before it gets worse.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But I'm kind of on my Jesus shit now, where I'm like, I'm just gonna be kind to the people I interact with, and like, that's really all I can do. I can't control what other people do. I can only control what I do. So it's like, the people I interact with, I'm just going to be nice to them, even if they don't deserve it. I guess there's extenuating circumstances where you wouldn't do that, but like, that's kind of my solution to save the world now, is just be nice.
Kind of like I would show compassion when I stop beating someone.
That was very nice of you.
Been there before.
Yeah.
I do
When I
MMA to
see
get
the
rid
life
of my problems.
Hey, same.
When
How
I
long-
see the
how long
life
have you been
drain from
practicing?
their eyes, maybe then I'll
Uh,
consider.
I think I've been doing that for maybe about a year so far.
You specify any specific style that you center around?
Well, I take multiple classes. I take BJJ,
That's pretty
judo.
standard. Yeah.
I've been trying to make it to my Muay Thai classes.
Muay Thai is a very heavy duty.
That is a very interesting. I do Muay Thai too, so yeah, that shit's fun.
Yeah, but I've also there's like I don't know what to call it. There's a class. I think it's just MMA. Usually it's like wrestling or something like that. I don't know.
No, the MMA schools, they have to be. They don't call it this, but Master Lee coined it as Jeet Kune Do, which is the formless form. It's you learn everything you can and you apply it, which is the true superior form.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're saying that, so your standard MMA gym is going to be kind of Jeet Kune Do because it's a
Basically,
culmination
yeah,
of different things.
basically, Jeet Kune Do, whether or not they're speaking on the philosophy directly, but that's basically because MMA is mixed martial arts, and a martial art just meaning the art of defense or attack, and you know, you can learn everything. There's, you know, capoeira, for instance, has one of the most powerful kicks, but capoeira is horrible in a street fight because it's too dancey and too slow.
But it looks cool.
It
looks
is.
cool.
It is.
It looks like a fighting game. Okay, so I know a little bit about judo. That's like moving other people's weight kind of thing.
Yeah.
What's the other one? BJJ, is that what you said?
Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, gotcha.
That's pretty much what everybody
Gotcha.
has to learn if you're going to think about ring fighting, because you have to have ground.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and
Otherwise,
there's
you're a boxer.
and there's for that there's gi and no gi, and I've been doing no gi for a very long time. And in order to actually get a belt, you need to do gi. So I've been trying to do that
Cool.
lately. To actually show where I'm at instead of just saying I've been doing it for a year. That doesn't really tell you much.
I have no fighting ability whatsoever, but I've been watching a lot of fucking Cobra Kai.
Oh, my brother loves that show.
It's so good. Like, that's not really my thing usually, but like, it's so good. It's a great show.
I think it started on YouTube.
Say what?
To think it started on YouTube.
Cobra Kai?
That's the first place I saw it. Was on
Oh
YouTube.
shit.
Yeah.
It was like YouTube Red or YouTube Premium or something.
Yeah, I
like
remember
that.
Interesting.
That, yeah.
And then
it
it
was like
moved
the
on to
first
like
thing that came with it.
Yeah.
With MMA, I didn't start doing it until my parents showed an interest in it. Then they started doing it, and then I was like, oh, that might be fun. Before then, I didn't care about like anything like that, any kind of sports. I thought it was stupid to even care about that at all. I still think it's stupid to care about it if you're not doing it.
That's a good point.
True.
Yeah.
'Cause,
As someone who watches a lot of UFC and doesn't know how to fight, I agree with you. It's like, what's the point?
I mean, like, yeah, it's cool. You can watch people do it, but wouldn't you rather be there doing it?
Yeah, true.
Well, there's a level of, I guess, the different sport, because watching people fight brings out a certain instinctual drive in people that almost no other sport will. But I understand what you're saying, like the armchair quarterback, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't mind somebody watching UFC if they don't know anything, as long as they just shut the hell up and watch it. And stop trying
Yeah.
to explain
Well,
what
even
somebody
that.
did wrong and how they could have, you know, this and that.
Yes,
and going,
I
hate that.
"Obviously, you're sitting on the couch next to me."
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
like shut the fuck up. I can see what's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly though, like that's I feel the same way. Like I know a bunch of my coworkers all love sports, and it's cool that they like sports, and then watching other people do those sports, and they'd be like, oh well, I like this person, he does this thing, and blah 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 blah, and it's like it's cool that like it's kind of like comic book heroes in a way. It's like you have your little heroes in your fight, and you're like hoping that they turn out on top, and and they defeat the villain, and they score the touchdown and do the thing. But like, but it's also like I cannot stand listening to like the sportscasters or like
Yeah.
people talking about like points and shit. And I'm just like, bro, these are people that are literally getting concussions for your entertainment. Like,
I'm right
it's-
there with
and
you.
You're talking about it like
paychecks.
Yes.
Yeah, and I decided like I didn't really care that much about sports when I was younger, because so for a while I lived with my grandmother. I call her my nanny. She got really into like the Tennessee Vols. She never, when they were on, if they scored something, She made noises I had never heard come out of her mouth. And it like I got secondhand embarrassment and I had to leave the house.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm not touching sports. I'm good. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about sports ball either. Ironically, like, I watch combat sports, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, if somebody's watching somebody fight, like, I get that. But if somebody is watching football or soccer or something, I'm like, why don't you get outside and do something like that?
Most of the people I think of that are really into sports, the answer is probably because they can't.
Yeah, last time I played soccer, a chick Sparta kicked me in the stomach with cleats on. So
Oh man.
yeah,
Damn.
was not near the ball. Was just being bullied.
Oh,
Wow.
No.
Yeah, so that's why I don't play soccer, and every now and then I watch it. But
Go.
Yeah.
Talk about fanatical. Like, soccer
oh
gets
my god, they go
intense, bro.
crazy. Yeah.
People want to talk about hockey? No, soccer.
Soccer's fucking intense.
We were talking about this the other day, weren't we? Like, wars get started
Yeah,
over
there's-
soccer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually that happened.
Yeah.
Riots
wars
and
that
crazy
fought
shit.
When games went south.
There was a recent.
I mean, you think our riots here when a basketball team wins are bad? No.
Oh.
No.
They shut down whole
last-
cities
yeah,
over
they
soccer.
Literally,
Uh-huh.
that'll last like through the night. In Europe, you've got towns that are shut down for weeks because their team lost.
Cars flipped over.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean,
Damn.
it's,
Crazy.
Soccer go hard.
well, also there, you know, I get sick. You know, if you're out somewhere and the game's going on, you're like, God, all this traffic and all this shit going on, I got to deal with this game. Over there, you can't even have that attitude because everywhere you go, everything's closed. Everything, no, the game, the football game.
Are you fucking stupid? The game's on.
What are you doing in the street? Get in here. The game's on.
You're in the grocery store? What are you talking about? We're closed.
Yeah, no, my family's from Germany. My dad teaches German, gets to go to Germany every year for where he works. I went to Allianz Stadium. It's not just a stadium, it's a museum. It's a fucking museum. Like, it has that much significance. Is that it's more than just a sport. It is historical every single
Yeah.
Hysteric
Interesting.
and historic.
day. Exactly.
While we're on the subject, I think it's interesting, like, okay, we're talking about people being fanatical over sports, and that's, like, more or less harmless until we're talking about cars flipped over and shit like that, you know, like fights breaking out. It's okay to like the Tennessee Vols even though they suck. It's like you can do that, and it's not hurting anyone. But it's like we get tribal about. I mean, people act the same way about religion, right? It's like
True.
my way or my team, my sports team is like, and if you don't believe in my sports team, I kill you. And it's like,
Fucking Christian nationalists
Yeah.
nowadays. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
and I see it bleed into politics too.
For many,
It's
many
like,
years, I called politics the NFL. And
so which team are you on?
Well, no, and then so yeah, I used to call it NFL, but a few years ago, maybe I don't know, about 10 years ago, I started calling it the WWE
Yeah, I mean, both of those are pretty apt.
because I mean, you know, at least in football, if it's faked, it's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And WWE and wrestling, you know it is. You just have to go ahead and act like it's not.
Yeah.
That's basically our political system all the way across the board.
And like with sports teams, it's like
Basically.
it's designed to have like this conflict. It's like my sports team versus your sports team is like part of the thing. It's like part of what you're doing. Two teams going against each other. Religion's supposed to be like about unity.
Yeah. Politics are supposed to be
About
agreeing and
us.
figuring it
Yeah.
out between, and not I'll win, you lose. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to start.
but Alice already knows where I stand on it.
We just have to we just have to realize we're all people. And I think what's happening a lot of the time is like we're not actually as divided as we think we are without like the government and the media making us that way, where it's like I think it's basically like any distraction we can come up with that isn't the people versus the government, whether we can divide them on race, whether we can divide them on gender, whether we can divide them on, and not to say these issues don't exist, but like the real problem in the world is our fucking governments. It's the ruling class. It's the us and them is the ruling class and everyone else, and that's like anything, any rhetoric that isn't that, they're okay with. Is like divide it any other way, you know. I'm kind of going on these rants. I apologize. We talked about ghosts. What are y'all's thoughts on aliens? Do you think we've had extraterrestrials visit Earth? I used to ask people if they thought aliens exist out there, but like, who doesn't?
I am an alien, so.
What planet?
From planet Jindal.
Nice. Not familiar. That sounds exotic.
It's very
You're also from
exotic.
Canada, so that makes you an alien technically.
No. I went on that whole spiel of I was just like, oh yeah, no, we don't need to reincarnate, but I see myself as an alien. It's how I cope with life. It's how I cope with myself because, especially as a person, you're always constantly watching yourself. Aliens don't have to watch themselves. So you call yourself an alien, call yourself something out of this world, people are going to believe you're something out of this world, and then they leave you the fuck alone.
Yeah.
So
I never thought of it that way.
it's how I get people to not fucking bother me.
I like that.
And also talking about fucking dead people, but you know, that's
Yeah.
for another
It's pretty much anything that will get people away, right?
yeah, sometimes I used to. What was the one thing I did in high school? Like,
To that guy from.
yeah, I don't know if we're allowed to say it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that name.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was an organization, church-based organization,
Yeah.
and we were all sitting.
My middle school glee club that performed there once.
Oh man.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't have any fond things to say about that place either,
No,
but
me
we'll
neither.
keep it up.
Yeah.
We won't.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but essentially a dude was like passing out candy to people at our high school during lunch, and he was just like, "Hey, you guys want some candy?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't take candy from strangers."
Nice.
What did I say? I do not remember.
God,
Like,
we were talking about this the other day.
I don't remember.
Oh my god.
It was the dude was like, "You guys look like a band. Are you guys a band?"
That's right.
And because our old guitar player Dylan was wearing a Korn, he was like, "Man, I remember when Korn was popular." This goes to show how old I am. And he's like, "So what kind of band are you?" I'm like, "So are you know when you're talking to a beautiful woman, you take her out, you put her in the freezer, you bury her, you take a good smell. That's our music, you know." And he just like looked at us. And
You failed to mention that you started with, you know, when you're talking to a nice woman, and he goes, "Oh yeah," and you take her out. "Oh yeah, sure, I've done that plenty of times." And then you keep going, and he starts agreeing less and less. And he's like, anyway. But he starts out agreeing with you.
Yeah, no.
On every
Right.
point until it's like, then you bury her, and you smell, and you...
It's like, oh, what the fuck?
But in conclusion, I sorry, strayed away from the topic, but yeah, aliens do exist.
Have they interacted with Earth? You think
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that we can take this back to the 50s. We can take this back with Sputnik.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
We can
Aliens
take this
have
all the way
interacted
back
with Earth.
where the 50s was supposed to be this
Yeah.
ideal time. No, it wasn't. Because they were hiding the most shit during that time.
Mhm.
Because it was post-war. They didn't want the people to panic after the war. Because just like, there's going to be another war. But it's going to be the universe versus Earth. And so that's where all these movies came out. Like The Day the Earth Stood Still and...
War of the Worlds.
yeah, World of Worlds was another one. But essentially, how I think of it is, aliens are... I feel like the guy from the History Channel, but aliens.
Everyone immediately.
Synchronicity. We all know about the History Channel aliens. Now.
Yeah,
Ancient aliens.
But I do think...
That was funny.
I do think it goes back to the 50s and how, you know how there's supposed to be a raid on Area 51? I think it was like
Yeah.
How many years ago?
God,
How many years
that
ago?
was hilarious.
Not long ago. Well, shit, probably
it was a
longer
few
than I
years-
think.
it was a few years ago.
Showed up. Oh,
People genuinely showed up because here's my thing. I think there is something out of this world. I think it's kind of like the Salem witch trials, as if we created the aliens. But there is something out there, but they're not exactly called aliens. There's something else. It's something kind of entirely out of this world, and it's something that has a different brain function, a different body chemistry.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like a green guy with the big eyes and everything like that. And sure, there have been identified flying saucers, but we don't know what the fuck those are. We don't know.
You know Bob Lazar?
Huh?
You know Bob Lazar?
I think so, yeah.
He claimed to have worked on Area 51.
Yeah,
on spacecraft. Yeah.
There's this idea I had some years ago that like if there are aliens out there and based on probability alone, there are so many galaxies that there can't possibly not be intelligent life out there. But the thing about aliens is that more than likely, what we can consider intelligent life is something that is so far out of our understanding that it is exactly that, alien. Like we're not going to ever find it because we don't know what to look for.
So at that point, is it even extraterrestrial, meaning like from another planet, or is it like interdimensional, right? It's
Either
like
or
you come
or
through
both.
a rift, you know?
Either
like,
or both.
That was kind of my next question. You were kind of touching on it, is like where we don't even know that, so advanced that we don't even know that they came from another planet.
Yeah,
They could be just from the future or from another plane, something
and then
like
another
that.
thing too, like another famous quote that I can't remember who the author is that like if aliens do exist, they live in the sea, because we have yet to explore like 90% of our oceans.
Yeah.
So like there's bound to be something down there.
They probably have like little caves they go into and come up, and there's an air pocket. It's like all living in the earth somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, why are they so concerned about Area 51, and why are they so concerned about the Pentagon and things like that, and keeping it so heavily guarded if there's nothing there?
Right.
I've heard a theory recently about how maybe Area 51 isn't Area 51 and this is Area 51. Weird things that are being observed.
Oh, Earth? Yeah.
Yes.
Area
We're being
51 is
observed
the
and they don't want us to
observation
get out
booth.
rather than to get in.
Oh, right.
Oh,
yeah.
that's terrifying.
That would make sense.
This-
I hate
yeah.
that.
That's where
Oof.
they're observing us from.
No, that's oof.
You think
I
about
like
it, we do
I
that
like
to
that.
animals.
They're watching.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like like nature or
Well, they tag their ears, except we don't have to be run down and have our ears.
Oh,
tagged.
that
Just
too,
stand
but
in
I was
line
thinking
and
of,
pay
like-
money to have it done.
Government's watching.
I was thinking of like a nature
Social
documentary.
Security numbers.
Yeah.
The government is
We're
watching.
born, and then we get in line and pay for it every year or two down at the office
Oh my
to
god.
get tagged.
But like we like in the wild, like nature documentaries, we'll just watch an elk get mauled. It's like that's kind of maybe that's what Earth is like too.
We're down on this rabbit hole in this one. We're deep in this
Was
one.
there a realization that occurred?
Oh, did I miss that?
Do you want to repeat it or do you want me to say it for
You
you?
go ahead, Jules.
Nicole-
I'm still analyzing this.
Nicole just went, the government's seen me take a bubble bath.
Probably. Probably.
What if they're bugging my loofah?
Somebody owes me money then.
God damn. That's great.
Y'all are like, y'all can't look at this fine ass and act as if y'all gotta pay for it.
Oh
I
shit.
think this is a capitalist-driven country. or
Yeah,
what?
that's what I'm saying. Like, accept payments here, 20%.
This is free OnlyFans, motherfucker.
The government just takes whatever they want.
You want me,
They
you
owe
want
me
me
some
to pay
fuck-
you? You want me
Yeah.
to pay you taxes for seeing my naked body? No, you pay me, motherfucker.
They owe me some fucking Mr. Bubble then.
Just give me a Tesla or something. Shit.
No, I don't want a Tesla. I just want my fucking Mr. Bubble.
Just reimburse what is owed. Yeah.
If you're watching me take a bubble bath, I'm gonna take 3 more bubble baths just to spite you.
For every single bubble bath you watch, you owe me 3 more.
Every single bubble you pop, every bubble you burst, you owe me like 3 canisters of more bubble bath.
Damn.
I hate to burst your bubble, but here's 3 a bubble.
God damn.
And on that note. Alice, go listen to Future Deadly Horror while taking a bubble bath. Go do that.
There you go.
Go do that right now.
Put on some nice candles. Get it. Turn down the lights just a little bit. Make it all nice. Get all comfy. Listen to some brutal fucking music.
Chant Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror.
Yeah, some of
There you
those
go.
like
No, that's so
soap
scary.
rose petals and spread them all over the place.
Make a trail for your lover to like follow to the bath for it.
That's the like from the horse's mouth. That is the preferred method to listen to their records. So if you're not doing that, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, like why listen to it at all if it's
Yeah,
not in a bubble bath? It ain't
Either
romantic
that
bubble
or
bath.
on a unicycle.
You
So
creative
glad-
do
I'm
both.
so
Take a
glad
bath
you
with a
admitted that.
unicycle.
'Cause I went
You
on
know,
a bubble
that
bath.
reminds me of one time. I'm never gonna forget this, so.
It's gonna be one of the things that like, oh, a new thing about Nicole. I've known you for so long, and here's a new thing.
No, I've never taken a bath with the unicycle, but my dad used to ride a unicycle.
Nice.
He dressed up like Paul Revere and rode a unicycle.
Is this real?
No, I'm not joking. So there's a group in the 60s called Paul Revere and the Raiders. They would wear like the Paul Revere hats and like wear these like kind of like boots I'm wearing now. And like the white socks and everything. They would look like the colonists or whatever the fuck they were called. I don't remember. What is it? But yeah, he rode a unicycle like the Monkees did on their show, and then he dressed like Paul Revere and the Raiders and wore like the Paul Revere and the Raiders like dressed like Paul
Nice.
Revere, you know? And he would ride around on his farmyard with that and everything. But,
That's awesome.
That's dope as fuck.
That sounds like a cool dad.
My dad's the coolest dad.
I would love to continue to talk to you all,
Yeah.
but I'm sure you all have places to be. We could do this again sometime, though. I'd love
Absolutely.
Yeah.
to.
This is great.
Maybe we could plan something around a release or a show or something next year or something like that.
That'd be cool.
We plan on doing our new EP, Contagious, within the next 6 to 8 months.
Hell yeah. I'll be on the lookout for that.
Contagious, but cunt.
I got that, yeah.
Yeah, just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
that's
wanna-
Alice
wanna make
knew.
it absolutely clear.
In case there's any gray area, yeah. All right, Alice, we'll see you next week. See ya.